Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
just going on with it. Uh, so even like I was also reading a bit of emotional intelligence, and there was a test kind of. This is, and as we are talking about like teachers and academia and everything, this is for the people who are into like math and who want like a measurement every time, and like they want to measure, okay, this is my emotional intelligence, this is how much I've grown. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, if I was reading about this self test designed to measure the EI of children and adolescents. So this test comprised 30 items which rate the dimensions like intrapersonal, interpersonal, stress management, and adaptability.
Sure.
The results of all of this are then added together to give a score for general emotional intelligence. And
Correct.
there is also a fifth scale, which is positive impression. And this created measure to the extent to which the subject responds randomly or distort their responses as a result of social desirability bias. So, is this something that we practice being an emotional intelligence coach? That we take a test? Okay, you have scored this is this much, and now we will improve your either interability or interoperability or something like that.
So yes, there are two parts to it. Yes and no. So unlike EQ, which has a very standardized test, we are all aware of that test, and you can take it and you can kind of measure your IQ, and you have a standardized score, so to speak. EQ has a lot of tests, like the one that you mentioned is a particular profiling test for adolescents, and a good one at that. There are several others, and you'll find them in various, if you start Google now, you will find 20 others which have similar attributes. Primarily, see, the work started in about 1965 when Daniel Goleman made it popular. And as I started in the beginning, it's something that you and I have intrinsically. It's not something that is given to us by somebody else. The point is that I have to keep using it to be able to even recognize it in myself and to be able to share it with others. So that is the key. It's really not about so much so the scaling. The scaling is important for me, or as an individual, to know where am I relative to where I was yesterday. So if I'm doing it with a child, so to speak, it may be important that I do a little profiling so that I get a basic idea that, okay, in this situation, how is this child going to react? I may do that by profiling. I may do that through observing the child. I may do that by asking questions related to certain circumstances. So the choice as a therapist or as a counselor or a parent is mine. If I use a profiling instrument, or I use questions, or I use observation, or I simply ask the child to maybe notice something, share an incident that has happened in his life and how he responded to that. The more important thing is that those variables, and Daniel Goleman has listed five of them: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. These are the five main factors. Once you have them in place, once you know that this is what you're relatively measuring, you have a basic idea that this is where the child or the person stands. And then you tell the person that over a period of time, let's see where you are. So two things to it: that one, profiling is something that can be used, but it's not something that is 100% required. And second, that it's a relative change from where you were yesterday to where I am today is the most important thing. And the third thing is, yes, that when it comes to jobs, when it comes to the corporates, or when it comes to being in life, especially in the executive sector, I will probably hire a person who's more emotionally, the EQ is higher than somebody else whose EQ is relatively not that much. Again, corporates have a lot of profiling systems, not one, but several. And I may mind map the person, I may choose to talk to the person. That totally depends on the which job the person is being hired. For a leader, if I'm choosing a leader in a job, I would say that I would say 70 to 80% of my skills will be measured in terms of my EQ skills rather than my IQ skills. It doesn't matter, because at that time, where my ELISA score was in my childhood, how does it matter? Or even at that time, I need to use those soft skills.
Can we discuss a little more about like how if your EQ is higher, your emotional intelligence quotient is higher, you have a better opportunity for like a corporate job or for
Sure.
understanding your better, and to like the corporates who profile you, they have a better you have a better chance for the application to go forward and you get the job.
Sure. So I'll ask you a coaching question for that to expand on that. What are the skills, according to you, that are necessary for a person, say a mid-management level? What do you think are the skills that would be necessary for him to really do well in his job?
So for me, it has to be speaking.
Okay.
Your speaking skills need to be articulate really well.
Communication.
Yeah,
Okay.
communication is very important.
Okay.
The profession that you are in, you need to know about that profession. You need to display your skills. If you don't display your skills, then there is if you're just hiding your skills, then there is no point of even going for that job.
Subject
Uh,
matter expertise. Okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
and also your interpersonal skills with like the other personnels in the corporate office as well. So because if you don't have interpersonal skills with other colleagues, that will always remain as a problem in your life. That you're not being able to communicate well, or you're not being able to understand the orders that you get, or like any demands that you get, or any discussions, you can't be a proper part of it because your interpersonal communication skills are low. So
Sure.
to me, it's that.
So basically, I think you're talking about the intrapersonal aspect of it, which is my communication, and the interpersonal aspect of it, which is the communication with others or the relationship with others, as
Yeah.
far as I understand, and the subject matter expertise. Right. So if I mean, which would be probably a reply by any other person who would, give a response if I don't, make it very, very specific and say, okay, now let me add on to the fact that supposing it's a mid-management level. If it's mid-management, he would probably have a team to work with, about say 3, 4 people that he's leading, and they are reporting to him. So he's a manager, and he has leadership kind of levels attached to him. So what I'm really coming down is that ultimately it's these skills, whether it's communication is a soft skill. Other than my fluency in the language, be it English, Hindi, or whatever, when I'm communicating, what should I be careful of? That when I'm communicating, are you understanding what I'm saying? Not literally, but are my words landing with you well? Are you getting annoyed with what I'm saying? Are you listening to what I'm saying? Am I listening to what you're saying? So ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that all these are skills about being emotionally intelligent. If I am at a place where I have learned to understand my emotions and how they are regulated and managed, I will be in a better position to understand, because it's like a cycle. Self awareness leads to self management, which in turn leads to other people's, others' management and social skills. So if you read Goleman's model, then you'll find that it goes like a cycle. It's not necessarily in that order, but yes, everything starts with the self. So once I'm a more self-aware person, I will naturally start looking at you also with the same kind of capabilities, and say that, okay, let me help this person develop those interpersonal skills. So the bottom line is that when we look at the corporate sector, there is a great demand today of emotionally intelligent leaders and personnel, and people are looking forward towards that, because let's face it, with the kind of competition that we have and the children that are coming out of these top notch colleges and the kind of cutoffs that we have, what is the differentiator? What is the differentiator?
Yeah.
If I've got 98% marks and you've got 99, well, okay, that is one. But at the end of the day, I will take the cake if I am somebody who's coming across to you and you can understand my language and I can understand yours. And I, like you said yourself, that if I'm able to sell myself, if I'm able to walk the talk, if I'm able to tell you how good I am or how I can be good for your company, then you'll hire me. Otherwise, maybe you won't.
So we see this in the structure itself of colleges when we're talking about it. Statement of purposes. Describe yourself.
Yeah.
People really have like a hard time describing themselves. They have as we have seen in social media and everything, there are like a lot of funny things going on. How do I describe myself? Like I'm having a self-existential crisis because I can't even describe myself. So this is where
Right.
your edge is. Your
That's what I shared, that when I used to take these classes for management students, and there were people doing their second year of MBA, and we used to prepare them for GDs and interviews, and the very question, "Tell me about yourself," they would not go beyond their name, their town, where they come from, maybe their father's or their mother's name, and some hobbies.
Yeah.
Come on, there is more to you than that, and we need to take it out of you in so many words. But
Okay.
how will they take it